Hello everyone, welcome to Tanuki's stream, where I do gaming and talk about whatever that's on my mind, rather if it's politics, social media, or anything that happens to be a bit, peculiar, or just some sort of random topic just to get throughout the days or nights, especially if I'm bored, because that's usually where I do streams most likely. Either when I'm bored or if I just have something to get off my chest about. And I don't know. Today, I want to say I need to get this off my internet or on the website or on the web, basically. So, is it good to have social media? You know, I want to talk about the good and the bad between those two, because I think people, who happen to use these platforms that are recommended on their hub or online or advertised, there can be a bit of a downside to it and also an upside to it. But more likely, I think there's always going to be a consequence between. There's always going to be consequences between those two boundaries, rather if you want social media or not. And I think having social media in the good way is that you can find people who are interested in the same things that you're interested in and probably relate to people who happens to have the same ideas or have the same point of view as yours. Now, it doesn't have to be exactly your point of view, but if it's something that can align with your ideology, then why not, And also, you could find friends who happen to be available, or if not, mutual. That's the good part about social media, is that you can find people that you know or may not know, but, in case you're curious, to know and find them on that sort of page or website. And I guess another good thing about it is that it's good to be extrovert sometimes when you are, online looking for stuff that you want to learn or be concerned about. Now here's the downside to social media, and it's not much of a big downside. It's more of like a privacy downside. It does kind of leak a bit of your information some way. For example, hold on, let me turn that music down. I don't prefer listening to anything that happens to be on the radio, only because of copyright reasons. That's why I have it off. Now the downside about social media is that it can lead to a lot of distress and also personal problems or information that's being sent. And I'm saying this because it should be necessary for anyone who happens to have it to at least be aware of who you're talking to or who you're hanging out with, especially if you don't know them. Because someday someone can actually go behind your back and leak those information that you have, or at least leak the information that you have tweeted or you have posted, and can use it against you out of context, or to start up a big problematic issue that doesn't need to be an issue in the first place. But there are people who would, who would create such a havoc, strut in you, That's why I'm mentioning it right now. And I think for the ones who have it, just be aware that people in this world are fucked up. Now let me get back to the downside of the whole social media thing, is that it can lead to leaving information or being, I guess I could say it can also lead to being targeted for something that you may have said, or anything can happen, like remotely bad can happen to you if you're on there. I think the downside is that privacy are leaked, you know, sometimes. If you were to have an about page, and you were to explain it in your about page, have everything in your about page detailed, and someone can look at that, and then based on the about page, they can use that to conclude your persona or characteristics. Not saying that it's true, but most likely it can be a bit frightening and awkward if someone were to know everything about you from that page, you know? And that's just if you detailed almost everything on whatever platform you have, especially if it's Facebook, because there is a way that you can, fuck off, Bryony. There is a way that you can, you know, detail everything about yourself if you choose to. Not that I recommend you guys should, but, you know, the downside is that, you know, people can, you know, see that, and then, you know, if they want, they can come at you with these things and be like, I know everything about you, you know, your birthday is on October 31st or October the 11th 2001, and your mother is named Harriet and your dad is named Johnny, you know, and they're just bringing that up for no reason, you know. You're just questioning, how do you know their names and why is that, you know, and they don't tell you. It's like, well, none of your business. Well, yeah, it should be my business because, you know, the people that you mentioned are well known to be in my family, so why are you mentioning this? You question. And they can go on the lines of saying, well, I read your about page, you know, and your about page says everything about you. And they're like, well, why would you do that? And then here's the question is that you should ask yourself is, why would you detail everything that is true about you in the about page? I mean, basically what I'm saying is try not to be a bit too open when it comes to texting on social media, especially when it comes to like DMing or texting, because, you know, text doesn't really mean nothing nowadays. I mean, you can get a certain text with somebody and it won't mean dick, you know. I think between texting and being on a webcam is a bit different, you know. And like you can express yourself a lot more fluid and frequent than text. That's why anyone who happens to have, you know, FaceTime or Skype or Meagle that uses, you know, live cams should be aware that people can, you know, identify you like that and can screenshot whenever without your consent and then somehow find where you live. You know, it's just weird how today's technology can, like, almost everything that you use is like guaranteed to be spied on you. Now that's maybe a conspiracy theory, but from what I've heard, I'm a bit of a believer in conspiracies, you know. So not that I believe in everything, it's just there are some cases that can be a bit frightening. For example, I do think most of our phones and devices are spying on us from the government, you know. And although I disagree with people spying on people who happen to be living private lives, I don't think it's necessary for them to be spying on us every time. And then you got the idiots who say, well, as long as you're not doing anything wrong, then what's the point of you being a bit worried? Nothing to worry about, right? Well, that's the problem, is that if someone were to find out where you are, if someone were to spy on you privately on your own home, surveillance in your own home, you should be worried, because it's, you know, they're basically invading your belongings. They're trying to detail everything about you, you know, spying on you, trying to get something out of you, you know. Saying, here, let's take a look at this guy here, and let's see if he's gonna be the bad. Let's see if he's the bad person, or if he's, like, you know, the antagonist in this way, you know. I'm trying to make sense here, like, you know. There are just people who happen to, like, question if you are a good person or a bad person, which they don't really need to know. I mean, that depends on the person who happens to be spied on. You know? Am I making sense here? I hope so, because that I'm trying to keep it a bit more. I'm trying to keep it more. What's the word I'm looking for? Intelligent, I should say. Because most of the streams that I do are pretty much just words and mouth without even thinking. They're more like afterthoughts. Man, this mission is taking a long time for it to populate. Fuck it out. Fuck it. I'm gonna just go to Martin. Martin. So what am I about to say? So yeah, there's the bad side to it. And anyone that has social media, nothing wrong with that. Just be aware that there are going to be some consequences to that, you know? Lots of consequences. No, I'm not saying the consequences that you're going to get you deserve, but it's more like, oh shit, hold on. I think I'm not in a, I think I'm, hold on real quick, let me get myself in a party. That way no one can hear me. Ah, fuck. Alright, hold on for a sec. Alright, I'm going to come right back to this. So just give me a moment. I'm going to end this broadcast and then come right back to it. So